just want to make sure before I started.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, no problem. Plus, I mean, it definitely affects the energy if it's not like mutual of like that comfort. So
Gotcha.
yeah. So how do you find community?
Facebook. Like legitimately, Facebook has been such an amazing resource with the ability to reach out, meet so many different kinds of people. You'll find who you're aligned with, especially if your status and settings are public. You kind of get those things, and then you get the opportunity to meet them in real life, and you should take those opportunities, and then you'll truly see if it's aligned. But yeah, literally, social media has helped me form my village, my business, and everything.
And speaking of your business, I feel like there's such a beautiful story behind it, especially since I've heard you speak at a previous networking event, and you mentioned how intentional the name Agape Home Solutions is. But I also know that isn't your only business. So do you mind telling me about both?
Sure. Agape is my first love, literally. I love cleaning, and I always have, and it gave me the opportunity to be the mom that I wanted to be. I really had every intention on always being home to do dinner and pick up from schools and drop off. Like that was my vision. And cleaning gave me enough of a flexible life to do that. The name Agape is, it's the highest love in the Bible. And it speaks of a godly love and unconditional love. And that's really how I approach my clients and their home. It's a sacred space, and it should be treated as such. Somebody's trusting you to be in their space and deal with their darkest areas, right? Like, because we could all put on whatever airs on social media, in public, at work, but when you go home, all masks off, right? Like, this is it. This is who I am. And I think our homes represent a really deep, deep part of us. So when people trust me with that space, I value it in a very real way. Why it actually has led me to amazing friendships, like in real life friendships, like even if they're no longer clients anymore. So that's always been good. And that actually did lead to my second business, which is Selenite and Sage. And that also, I love name plays. Sage, some people use for, cleansing energy, burning. The natives use it for smudging. And sage is also like an old wise person, right? Yeah. Like, oh, this sage. And selenite is magic wand for clearing and moving energy as well. And so for me, it kind of played into it, right? Cleaning, clearing, it's what I've done with Agape for over 10 years now. Sage, wise, older advice, and that whole business is about literally practical magic. My whole intent is just to give people, here's how you can apply this magic to your everyday life. It doesn't have to take an $80 gemstone. It literally takes your intention and small rituals to place that energy into space. And I'm actually launching a subscription. Yay!
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. In June on Marco Polo. Like they have a channels app, and it allows people to use the same functions of Marco Polo. And so they can video chat with me, and all of that stuff will be there, like daily prompts, weekly oracle pulls, and all this kind of stuff, just like some energetic support for people. And then they can reach out to me privately if need be. So that's pretty much what's going on there.
Amazing. And I've noticed even from your website, you look at all of the little details.
I'm sorry for the children in the background.
No worries. My niece is asleep, but she's about to wake up not too long from now, so I totally
I'm
get
gonna
it.
mute my end until I answer, so
Okay.
your recording is not
No
messed up.
worries. No worries.
Okay.
No worries. And so I noticed you really look at the intimate details of everything, of especially honoring sacred space. I've noticed even on the website for Selenite and Sage, as well as Agape Home Solutions, you look at the things that someone that you may like someone may have like a cup or something, and it may seem replaceable, even just like coming in and cleaning, but like you understand that there could be this sentimental value and there could be a story behind it. And even like the level of detail and respect of like, okay, we're still going to go in and be thorough and treat this in a sacred way. And part of that is knowing what to go in and deal with and what to go in and leave be in that energetic space. So, what inspired that attention to detail? I know you said agape and being the highest divine love in the Bible, and also understanding that sacredness of home. How do you feel like part of your spirituality transfers over into that?
Wow. Thank you for noticing that. A
No
lot of
problem.
people actually overlook that, and it's one of my pride points. And it's not trying not to do something, it is valuing, like you said, it's a sacred space. I'm not here to tell you whether that painting is worth something, but your mom gave it to you when you were 3. Like, I can't place value on what other people do. I think that came in my life. I'm definitely a collector of tchotchkes, and I've let things go. I am definitely not a subscriber of the Marie Kondo or condoing as heavily as she does. I definitely think things should bring you joy, but that doesn't mean that you have to live minimally. You should just feel connected to the things that are around you. Um, I think that came into play in my life. I've had loss very young. So I know that something that people may think is materialistic may be the only thing that you have left. And I know that with the spirituality and like how you said, like the balance of those two spaces is that could be part of ritual. You know, when you set up an ancestral altar, the little teacup that you still have left from grandma is going to remind you of that moment with her, right? And there's no better way to connect with somebody than having that visceral experience. And some people don't have that, and that's it makes it so much harder for them to connect. So if you do have these small things that another from the outside may do, oh, this is material, this isn't really important, you know, this tissue, this picture, this cup, but to that one person that it belongs to, it's everything. And everything is a part of your story. So that's how that plays in for me.
Wow, that's amazing. And one thing that I appreciate, especially in that, is that it feels like it's coming from a place of being empathetic rather than just being empathic of I've been there, but let me understand you as you need to be understood in this moment and as you wish to be understood.
Right.
And and in your coaching life, I noticed that you say that you're helping your clients open up to themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and through shifting their paradigms and changing perspectives and creating a new reality. How much of that do you feel comes from that ability to be empathetic to them and what they're going through, rather than I feel you, I see you, but more I'm listening to you and I'm here to understand you as you need to be understood, not how I need to feel like I need to understand you?
100%. Literally 100%. It is not my job. And my first passion was psychology, and like everything that I do, even in business, is like, how does the mind work behind this kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
And I had longed to be a therapist forever. And as I get older and that possibility is real and tangible, I'm able to focus and go to school, I question if I want to or not, because then they're held to a certain code and ethos. I like it for the educational point, but I don't necessarily know if I would go that route because of restrictions. It's kind of like if you want to sell homes, you could buy in cash all day long, but as soon as you become a realtor, you're held and bound to certain things. And you can't fully realize your vision, if that makes sense. So to go back to that question, 100% of that, because it allows me to not be in my ego. Like, this is not about me. This is about, how do I help you help you? Like, help you, help me, help yourself kind of thing. So I'm not sitting there. It's like we're both bare. We're both like, here. All I can tell you is I can empower you to get to this space. I have tons of tools that I can help find which one works for you in the best way. I'm gonna hold you accountable to doing the work, because I can't do the work for you. And I'm not here to waste your time. So I need you to be honest and open and show me you, so I can show you how to help you. It's really about the other person. It's all about being in service to the other and not about me, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense, and it's really beautiful to know.
Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate you taking the time out this morning. I mean, like, this clearly isn't the end, but like, I just wanted to extend that appreciation.
Oh, no, thank you for even thinking I was worthy of having the questions asked. Like, that's like, oh, look at me. Oh, somebody wants to hear it, and that's awesome. Are you guys eating?
Of course. And
I'm going to mute it again, but I am listening.
no worries. Of course. And something that I've been realizing in interviewing everyone is there's these beautiful stories behind things that we can take for granted of, we love our friends, we care about our friends. Like, of course, like in many cases, our friends become just as much of our family, as much, if not sometimes more than blood. And there's a lot of stories that we don't realize there's gems within, like, these people that are gems to us already, that taking the time to listen to, it's like an entire world is opening up.
Can you say that in a different way? I didn't kind of catch what it is that you're asking me.
Oh, sorry.
No apologies.
I was noting that, like, in wanting to interview everyone, it's been more just wanting to listen to everyone's story, and knowing that, I'm really curious of what led you in your path of spirituality, or just in your life period, to this point.
Huh. That's a great question, actually. I think I've always been connected in some sort of way. My upbringing was Irish Catholic, and there's so much beauty and ritual in that I think kind of get left aside. And just as just searching, I think we all fall away from religion because it's like crowd control, isn't it? It's not really your relationship with whatever higher power is not easily formed inside of rules and confined by these man-made spaces. So just on my search, I kept trying different things. A lot of where I've landed now came from me trying to connect being African American and Irish. Like, I felt like I got all the Irish, and I understood that deeply and well enough. And then I was like, well, what's magical and spiritual in the Black community? Surely it can't be this Christianity, because that has not saved us. What did it really look like? And ancestrally. So I just kind of combined those two spaces of like Celtic earth magic with amazing hoodoo, more so than like a lot of traditions are African spirituality. And I tend to feel more connected with like the descendants of slave spirituality. I'm not Yoruban or any of those traditional religions, but definitely Voodoo called more to me, which is like when I put both of them together, it just made perfect sense. Like this is all about empowering you and beautiful ritual and the earth that we come from. And it made me have an amazing love for God in heaven, but God that's on earth. And that found the balance for me. So
Wow.
that's pretty much how I came to where I am now, honoring all the parts of me, um, becoming whole and not feeling fractured. And then it showed up in my spirituality.
Mm, it's beautiful. And how do you show yourself empathy throughout your journey, and like especially in the moments where it's just like, you know what, right now feels really difficult, or right now just feels a lot?
Hold on a second. Kieran, you're loud. Please go be quiet somewhere. Could you ask that again? I'm so sorry.
No worries.
I probably should have said call me at 7.
No worries, and no apologies needed. Um, okay, I'm trying to like figure out how to rephrase it.
No, you could ask it again. I just didn't hear you at all because of my son being upset.
Oh, okay. So how do you show empathy to yourself through difficult moments or feelings of overwhelm? Like, especially once you get into spaces of like motherhood and womanhood, and also like partnership and just in general having family dynamics, it can be a lot of journeys that overlap with each other. How do you find your peace and your balance within all of these spaces and all of these journeys?
Ooh, that was difficult to figure out. Like, that was a journey in and of itself. I think that it came in part of similar to what I said with religion and spirituality, was recognizing all the parts of me and integrating and becoming whole. I think often people only see themselves in the one role or something, you know? Like, oh, well, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a business person. And you kind of give your all to all of those spaces and leave nothing and deplete yourself. Aaron took me in the eye. Aaron was playing with the pillow and it hit you, and I'm sorry that happened. I hurt with my finger. This one. Okay, I'm on the phone, guys. And I said I'm sorry, but you didn't. I'm glad that you said you're sorry. Sorry that happened to you. Your eye is still in your head. Life is good. I'm on the phone. Thank you. Close my door. I want to die. Close my door. I want to die. Please don't die. I'd miss you. And so, sorry. I think that it was a matter of survival to find space for me. And it was very difficult because at first, me finding me, it was at a detriment to everybody else. Like I had to put them all aside and like, no, I'm going to etch out time for me, be it getting my nails done. It started with small, superficial things that are important to some, not to others. You know, like I said, I'm gonna go get my nails done. I'm gonna do this weekly. I'm gonna get my massage weekly. It was about taking care of myself in very real and tangible ways. I didn't care if you were hungry when I walked out the door, if you were angry, if you were sad, if it inconvenienced. I had to go totally damn near toxic selfish in order to make space for me. And then come back into, okay, well, this is how this is going to play out. Like as of now, I'm in my room. You guys need to be in your space and be quiet. This is about me. And I use that language because I want them to be able to. I want them to always create space for themselves. And so a lot of my journey had to deal with figuring out creating space for me as a person and not me underneath the labels, if that makes sense.
It definitely does.
That was a really difficult part of the journey.
I believe it. And yeah, like I don't think a lot of the ways that it can intertwine and like overlap on each other goes recognized enough.
No, it really gets ignored because, especially I think as women body people and the pressure from society that we should be all things and be able to do all things, especially women of color and Black women in particular are considered to bear the brunt of it all. Don't cry, hold your breath, smile, and go. And that's insane. And it's not fair. And you have to make space for yourself, period. Or you'll kill yourself and everybody else around you.
Yeah. Mm. And how do you find connection with your ancestors as a form, as their own spiritual support to you, but also as a way to connect with your history and help be of be that bridge for your descendants and like those who are going to come after you as well?
Well, I do have an ancestral altar, so that kind of helps. And it's something, it's not always big, only like maybe once or twice a year do I come out with like make it a little bit bigger, which is during the Halloween time, which is Samhain. And how I connect this, I just kind of look it up because on both sides of my family, the history is lost. My dad and mom are both passed. I have no grandparents on either side. So I just try to gain as much knowledge of the people in the area in which they were from and see what resonates, like see what lands or see how it manifested in them. You know what I mean? Like, oh, my mom totally made X, Y, and Z. Or I remember my grandma made Irish soda bread. You know, I should make that for my ancestor altar. And now let's talk about Irish soda bread to the kids and have them help. And they recognize that that's a part of their culture. And like, I never realized that my grandmother was from the South, but she used to say this. And let's go find out what that was like there. And I pull the kids into that. Like, here's a picture of her, and this is what it was like for her then and there. And that's how I connect to it, and I have them connect as well. How I draw on that power is, I mean, it's in my blood. Like, I am the power, I am the magic. It's nothing that I need to do except to recognize that. Like, DNA doesn't change, you know what I mean? Like, this is what I'm made of. I am a part of this. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Um, I just need to tap into my own power, my own blood, and just remember that. And that's pretty much how that works for me.
Mm. So something of note, especially in both parts of your heritage, of coming from an Irish American background and coming from an African American background, is there's been a lot of history of struggle for both of those sides in the United States and beyond as well. Do you feel like that? Do you feel like part of that personal power comes from knowing your own personal capability of being able to survive is something that's enabling you to
Absolutely.
thrive?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that that's a whole other conversation, but as a quick answer is that yes, I remember growing up, my mom used to always tell me you come from good stock. And I think that how people tell their oppression stories is important um, because we've all had them, whatever culture you come from has had something. I'm not saying which is worse or, like it's not oppression Olympics or any of that. But I think that how you tell your story is amazing because coming from that Irish background of knowing indentured servitude, famine, coming over as immigrants, starting a new life in a new country with no knowledge of the language, et cetera, et cetera. When it's spun in that sort of way, it empowers you, right?
Yeah.
and gives you this ultimate strength. And then as I started delving more into the African American story, the way it's really told to break you. And there needs to be an alchemical shift in the narrative with descendants of slavery, because it's a very Christian view and a story you could tell didn't come from its own people. You know what I mean? Like you
Mhm.
could tell the story is told from owners of that people. And it's disempowering. It's literally the opposite. And I'm like, how does that work? You know? And I think that as Black people, we need to tell our own stories and remind our children, you come from good stock, and not lean back, you know, like we search so far back as Black people, like we're reaching so deep. Oh, we come from kings and queens. Like, dude, the entire continent wasn't kings and queens. You know, we came from a very centralized area. And they didn't have kings and queens. And even if they did, it's like a king and a queen. You know what I mean? Like, we're not all
Yeah.
descendants of royalty. And that's fine. Like, but we are descendants of people who fought, who struggled, who survived, who built a fucking country, an entire country. And they didn't even share the same language of the people that captured them or the people that they were working with. They created language, food, practice. Like, that's good fucking stock. And if we focus on that more, that was what I had to come into terms with. That it almost, I leaned more towards being Irish because that storyline was not something that made me feel powerful. So until I started revamping that narrative of what it looks like to be Black in America, that's when it became more powerful. Like, I'm fucking unstoppable. As far as I'm concerned, I come from the two strongest bloodlines ever. How can I fail? So, yeah, it plays a big part.
And how would you define your language of love and like being love and giving love and receiving love, and also how that helps with how that helps in translating with your clients as well?
Okay. Um, my way of being loved is I like to be taken care of. Acts of service, I guess, if we were gonna um, talk about like from the love language. Show me you love me by doing things for me. Um, you know, um, I guess how that translates in that way to my clients is I do want to be of service to them and to those around me, considering that's my number one language. It's how I love and how I like to receive love. So I do enjoy being a vessel, being in service to others, be it my family, my clients, or my friends. Um, how that translates for them to do something for me, well, with if it were my client, I guess their acts of service is paying for service, right? That's an act. Like, here, I value what you're doing, so let me support you and take care of you. Sharing what I do, sharing their experience. It's an entire energetic exchange for me in that one act. I hope that makes sense, and I hope I answered.
It definitely does, and you definitely did.
Okay,
Uh,
awesome.
uh, so I kind of want to come back to that previous question that you just answered. Well, not this exact same one, but referring back to coming from the two most powerful bloodlines and
Mm-hmm,
reframing that narrative.
mm-hmm.
I I feel like you already kind of answered it of like storytelling and like recognizing there are different roles. But if you could say three things to people who are struggling to figure out how to rebuild that story from being broken into being the builders of themselves and their own community, in the African American community specifically? What would you say?
3 words?
Oh no, three things. Like,
Oh, I'm like 3 words? I
oh
don't
no,
know.
oh no, I feel like that's a lot to pack into only three.
Yeah, I was like, how do I don't, where's my thesaurus? um, 3 things I would tell them is release everybody's vision of yourself. Everybody's vision. Release everyone's vision of who you are. That's the key. Second, ask yourself who you are. Like literally just have that question, like, who am I? What do I represent? What do I want to project? Those types of things. And then seek those truths of what you see of yourself, because they're there. It's just literally taking someone else's language and making it your own. Like, own it instead of getting so caught up, like, I mean, and I'm going to go off from those 3 things, and take it a little longer, is we get caught up in the story, oh, well, we were slaves, so that makes us weaker, or that. No, people have been getting captured and taken over since time has begun. We are no different. The laws made it different because it was easier to enact laws in a country that was new. You know what I'm saying? Like, they couldn't have taken Africans to Italy and done chattel slavery because Italy already had laws. Italy already had a formed society. That's why others got captured and were in indentured servants and not chattel slavery. But they brought people to a new world with no laws, with no rules, and were able to make it up. We are not weaker. We are just happenstance of shitty circumstance under law. But they're like, so dig deeper. I guess, like I said, like, release all the visions that people have of you, because even other Black people often have a terrible view of Black people. Seek the truth of who you are within yourself. Like, who do you see yourself as? Look at your own life and what you've accomplished and what you've overcome, and nail that truth to the wall and never forget it. And then start dismantling the narratives around you and start being more analytical and not emotional about it. Seek real truth, your truth, not what somebody else is giving you. Those are my 3 things.
Wow. Whew. I have to say thank you again for this interview and just allowing us
No,
to have
not a
this
problem.
conversation.
I'm excited for it. Thank you for giving me the chance.
Thank you. Oh, um, so those were all of my questions, but if there's anything else that you want to leave out with other than those 3 things, I'm totally open to that. But otherwise, I will let you get back to your morning.
I think that was perfect, and thank you for this chance.
Thank you. And it's been great connecting with you.
Same here.
Well, I definitely look forward to speaking with you again soon, and after everything is safely open,
Yeah,
meeting up.
that would be nice. Right.
Yeah, like right now, just protecting personal risk and everything, and also like knowing kids are in the house. Definitely like when it's safely open.
Yes, I would love that. Honest.
Same here. Well, thank you again, Desiree. It has been such a pleasure. I'll let you get back to your morning. Thank you
Okay,
again.
Dr. Smoking. All right, have a great one.
Thank you. You too.
All right, bye.